it for me. When we are, the word unpack means to take it apart. It was unearthly, and the men were, no, they were not inhuman. Why is the dash there? Grammatically, what does the dash do?
He's going to say something else, but he changed his mind.
He changed his mind. What else was he going to say?
That they were inhuman.
Excellent. Very good. Excellent reading. That they were inhuman. But he pauses. It was unearthly, and the men were, no, they were not inhuman. Well, you know, that was the worst of it. This suspicion of their not being inhuman. It would come slowly to one. They howled and leaped and spun and made horrid faces. But what thrilled you was just the thought of their humanity, like yours. The thought of your remote kinship with this wild and passionate uproar. Ugly. Yes, it was ugly enough. But if you were man enough, you would admit to yourself that there was in you just the faintest trace of a response to the terrible frankness of that noise. A dim suspicion of there being a meaning in it which you so remote from the night of first ages, could comprehend. And why not? The mind of man is capable of anything because everything is in it. All the past as well as the future. Notice the sense of the reaction here. Also notice the sense of Marlowe being confused, stumped, not knowing what to make out of this. Also notice the assumptions he brings to it. That even if these people are human, right? That even if these people are human, they're human in the sense of being primitive, way before us, right? So there's no way that we can assume that there is anything like us. One of the assumptions of post-colonial theory and post-colonialism is that we actually, when we hear people whom we have colonized speak, we actually discover that in many ways their culture was just as sophisticated as ours was. It just was it was sophisticated in a different way, right? Okay, I'm going back to this question of what folks out in Heart of Darkness, and I'm moving along quickly because Kurtz, one of the most famous villains in all of literary history. And he is very hard to wrap your mind around, just as he is very hard for Marlowe to wrap his mind around. I've put up here all of the things that he is supposed to be. A poet, a musician, a painter, a genius, a politician, a writer, a raider, a murderer, and the largest producer of ivory in the company. Furthermore, his name in German means short, and the first time Marlowe encounters him, he says he looks 7 feet tall. Despite all of these qualities that are attributed to him, Marlowe states late in the tale that he has no idea what Kurtz's profession is. Ambiguity. And then he makes this statement. There was nothing either above or below him, and I knew it. He had kicked himself loose of the earth. Confound the man. He had kicked the very earth to pieces. He was alone, and I before him did not know whether I stood on the ground or floated in the air. Who can unpack that statement for me? What does that mean? He had nothing above him or below him. Nothing to hold him down? Did you say hold him down or hold him back? Hold him down, okay? Other ideas on that? His status is ambiguous.
Maybe he existed outside of the conflict.
Okay, existed outside of the conflict. Is there any law that he obeys? Only his own, right? That's a scary idea. And that's part of what this journey is all about, is getting to that place where someone has decided, I can do anything I want. I can do anything I want to do. There is no rule of law here. There is nothing that will prevent me from killing you if I want to. Right? If I want your purse, and you won't give it to me, there's nothing to prevent me from killing you. Right? That's the kind of idea that he is getting at. And so the journey down the river, the journey inside, what he is suggesting, of course, is that there is a place inside us that is completely vulnerable to this kind of assumption that we can do anything we want. Notice the effect of Kurtz on Marlowe. And this is probably the most puzzling part of the novel. When Marlowe almost dies, this statement, which I'm not going to read to you for the sake of time, but this statement actually exposes the way in which Marlowe comes to the judgment that Kurtz is a remarkable person. That's probably the most ambiguous thing in the novel, that ultimately when Marlowe leaves Kurtz, or when Marlowe buries Kurtz and leaves the Congo, he ultimately becomes a person who says he was a remarkable person. He says that because Kurtz had something to say at the end of his life. And that was the famous statement, the horror. Marlowe felt he would probably have nothing to say at the end of his life. Strange thing. Does this mean that Marlowe has been so affected by the journey into this unknown realm, by the experience of Kurtz, that he has now become like Kurtz? That he has become transformed? Who knows? I want to show you a clip of Apocalypse Now, and this will take only about 5 minutes. But before I get to it, let me give a brief introduction. One of the things about this story that has made people come back to it again and again and again is the fact that it applies to so many different situations. And so in 1979, approximately 5-6 years after the Vietnam War ended, a movie was made that used Heart of Darkness as the plot, essentially. And what the movie maker, Francis Ford Coppola, did was he took the story and he put it into the context of the Vietnam War. And Kurtz becomes a decorated military officer who has gone up into some part of Vietnam and had gone actually into Cambodia and has begun doing things that are beyond the rule of law. So I thought we'd look at a clip of that as our last thing. And let me see. Now, I'm hoping this is going to work. Oh, goodness. DVD player experiencing error. Well, never mind. Okay.
Most outstanding officers this country's ever produced. He was great. He was outstanding every way. He was a good man, too. Humanitarian man. And of wit and humor. He joined the Special Forces. After that, his ideas, methods became kind of sound. Unsound.
Now he's crossed into Cambodia with this Montagnard army of his that worship the man like a god and follow every order, however ridiculous.
Well, I have some other
shocking news.